Well, if you want any travel tips on the Italian lakes, we can talk about that afterwards, or Barcelona, where I now live as well. But now I'm going to tell you about Citymart and how and why we work with cities around the world. I'm just going to have to get my head round changing things. Municipal and city governments spend 10% of the world's annual GDP on providing urban and social services to their citizens. That's about $47.5 trillion every year. Let's have a look at a couple of examples of how they do that. I'm trying to. It's, yes, the green I'm pressing. If you want, I can just signal to you when we change. There aren't many slides. Should we do that? Shall I just signal when they need to change, or can you not do it either? They're up now. That's great. Thank you. So, the city of St. Paul's in Minnesota, in 2011, they spent $4.5 million on installing speaking traffic lights. This was to help their visually impaired community. If they got lost, they could press a button and find out where they were. At around the same time in Stockholm, just across the water this way, I think, they also spent $4.5 million on their visually impaired community. They gave them a small navigational device that could take them anywhere they wanted to go in the city. Boris, on the right here in the stripy top, explained how this independence made him feel 90% less disabled. And as well as users feeling 90% less disabled, the city saved $20 million every year on the services they provided. This is $20 million that the city of Minnesota had to invest every year, effectively keeping their blind community dependent and disabled. Why? What are the different experiences here? What happened? In Minnesota, they procured traditionally. They diligently specified all the details of the solution they were looking for. Whereas in Stockholm, they spoke to their blind community and asked what would add value to their lives. Then they opened that up to the business community. And a stander came forward with their navigation device, eAdept. There clearly is a need for change here. Cities need to get out of the business of specifying solutions. Procurement should be about problem solving. But cities can't do this on their own. In 2013, we did a study of 54 cities. 90% of city leaders said they exclusively work with companies they already know. They have very little knowledge of the innovation and entrepreneurship that's going on in their own cities, let alone nationally, internationally, globally. And this is where Citymart helps. We give them access to this wider vision. We help them learn about the larger world. We work with cities to open their procurement to the market and give access, make it more accessible to SMEs, to entrepreneurs, and to citizens. Last year, during the BCN Open Challenge, a program we ran with the City Council in Barcelona, one entrepreneur felt so inspired by the opportunity she had to participate in her city governance that she enthusiastically tweeted this image of a Saturday morning breakfast: coffee, tomato bread, and tender specifications. This is the kind of procurement we need. Engaged procurement, not just the same old companies monopolizing tenders. We need inclusive, inspiring, and accountable procurement. By opening up their needs and challenges to the market, cities will find more and better solutions. Prices will be competitive, business models creative, and they will stimulate innovation and entrepreneurship in their city. By opening up their needs and challenges to other cities, cities can share approaches, share methodologies, share solutions, and save the time and cost of reinventing the wheel. By opening up their needs and challenges to cities build trust. They become more accountable, more responsive, and citizens become better engaged. Opening up cities' problems cultivates a different ownership of government, one where everyone is a problem solver, everyone is a change maker. Citizens, civil servants, business alike, and this is what we should be working towards: a problem-solving culture of public service with citizens at the centre. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucy. And finally, going from sharing cities' innovations across the world, we're going to look at the global perspective. Thore Vestby is one of the vice presidents at the Mayors for Peace, which is a global organization with, I think, 6,500 members. And I think I'd just like to invite you to talk about how that's working on a city basis to be able to link knowledge and share knowledge on a global basis. So, Massow.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you for inviting me. Mayors for Peace is a huge organization. We are nearly 7,000 mayors. We are in 161 countries, all continents, and we represent far more than 1 billion people. Founded in Hiroshima in 1982, and our mission is a world free of nuclear weapons. So why that, and why mayors? Well, we are, in a way, the security for our citizens. We have the rescue plans, we have all the security there is our responsibility, and we think that the nuclear weapons that we have today is really a threat to our citizens. And we know today 50% of the population on the globe, approximately 7 billion, are living in cities. In 2050, 75%, 9 billion, will live in the cities. And that is a doubling from now. So we are concerned about our city members and our human beings. And we know from the conference started in Oslo 2 years ago about the humanitarian impact of the consequences about the nuclear blast, that they are tremendous. They will blow away everything. And we know from in World War II, there were about the casualties, 80% were soldiers, 20% not soldiers. In World War II, the figure was opposite. And we think if there's going to be a nuclear war, well, everybody will be blown away. And we have a program called Cities Are Not Targets. And we know that missiles, they are pointed at cities, not at deserts. We also know that the superpowers of the world, they spend trillions of dollars on their nuclear weapon programs and systems. We also know that the Millennium Goals, the Development Millennium Goals from UN, they say that if we have, let's say, about $50 billion, we would eradicate extreme poverty, we will eradicate child mortality, and we will give primary education to everybody. Mayors like that. So we say that if you reduce the spendings on these nuclear systems by a very low percent, this will be financed. And now the UN is coming up with the new goals, and it's called Sustainable Development Goals. 7 in total, and that will come up, as we heard earlier today, now in September. So we're saying by this nuclear bombs program, it is not really sustainable, either ethically, morally, environmentally, and economically. And we also know since the last 4 years, the International Red Cross Red Crescent is helping us in our ambition. So please, investors, don't bank on the bomb. So I would say that sustainability, as we have heard all day, it is our future. We must now go from talk to walk. We also heard that social media is the future. The superpowers are not China, Russia, or USA. The superpowers are the users, the developers, the drivers of the social media. It's you and me, it's the citizens. That's where the future capital is. It's the social capital. And it's inside you and me, and we all have the key for the future. And that is where the mayors can be a driver in a link between the social, environmental, and the economical capital. That's where the mayors have the key. And I'm also glad to announce to you that last week an MOU was signed in New York between Partnership for Change and Mayors for Peace. We see that if we go together and do the right walk after some talk, we could probably close the gap that we need to close to go more, all of us, into a sustainable path. Thank you.